I'd like to start by thanking the organizers and thanks to Srijit, I am no stranger to Essence Talks. The topic for my talk today is the atheist next door. Um, and I'm going to be talking about what I have personally learned from my conversations with Indian rationalists. So, religious people often wear markers of their identity, turbans, tilaks, skull cap, crucifix, all that. But an atheist is identified only by their beliefs. The person sitting next to you on the bus could very well be an atheist. So, a couple of years back, I decided to find out for myself what is it that atheists in India actually believe. So, I interviewed more than 15 prominent Indian rationalists and published the interviews on YouTube. And today, I would like to talk about what I have personally learned from these very rich conversations. Okay, first, I learned that the terms atheist, agnostic, freethinker, rationalist, humanist can all be used interchangeably. Even though their dictionary meanings may differ, no one really cares about these subtle shades of meaning. What matters is the same people answer to all these names. But all the rationalists I spoke to were quite clear that to call yourself a rationalist, you must first be an atheist. In other words, you cannot claim to be a rationalist while still holding on to your faith. I would usually start an interview by asking, how did you come to be a rationalist? And often the answer starts with a mention of someone who is an inspiration, a guide, a mentor, or a teacher. Of course, Narendra Nag needs no introduction to this audience, and he names Basava Premanand as his mentor. In 1997, Premanand established the Federation of Indian Rationalist Associations, FIRA, of which Narendra Nag has served as the president since 2004. Premanand was a bitter critic of Satya Sai Baba of Puttaparthi, a conman and charlatan who fooled millions with simple stage magic tricks. I also separately interviewed two members of the Maharashtra Andhshraddha Nirmulan Samiti, MANS, whose mission is superstition eradication. Avinash Patil is its president and Sudesh Ghoderao is the secretary of MANS. They both named this man as their mentor. Narendra Dabholkar established the Maharashtra Andhshraddha Nirmulan Samiti MANS in 1989. Dabholkar tirelessly campaigned to get an anti-superstition law passed for the state of Maharashtra, but an ordinance for this was only enacted after he was shot dead in 2013. But when I spoke to Sudesh Ghoderao, the secretary of MANS, about the new law, he said that what was finally passed by the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly as the Prevention of Human Sacrifice and Black Magic Act of 2013 was a very watered down version of what Dabholkar and other activists had in fact drafted. For instance, the initial draft proposed banning or at least regulating the irrational practice of astrology through which millions of people have been duped. But you can see that various forms of pseudoscience are expressly excluded from the ambit of this law. And in fact, the government is instead promoting the study of Jyotish Shastra at state-funded universities. Dabholkar was not the only rationalist to be killed by fanatics. Between August 2013 and September 2017, in a space of 4 years, 4 rationalists were gunned down. Is there a pattern in the killings suggesting a conspiracy? According to both Narendra Nayak and Avinash Patil, the president of MANS, yes, there is. We don't know the precise motive behind Govind Pansare's assassination, but during 2015, M.M. Kalburgi, Gauri Lankesh and Narendra Nayak himself were campaigning for an anti-superstition act for Karnataka, similar to the one that had been passed by the Maharashtra Assembly. After Kalburgi's assassination in 2015, there was an attempt on Narendra Nayak's own life in March 2017, which he escaped due to sheer luck. And in September 2017, Gauri Lankesh was shot dead outside her home in Bengaluru. Obviously, no one has failed to notice the similarities in the modus operandi of all these killings, and in fact, as of March 2022, the SIT, Special Investigation Team of Karnataka, has established that the same set of guns was used in all 4 shootings. But initially, the conspiracy angle was not explored at all. Avinash Patil has been cooperating with 5 different central and state government agencies in their investigations. He said that activists like himself were appealing from day one that the role of militant Hindutva groups should be investigated. But instead, the police wasted more than 1 year probing the usual angles like domestic dispute, financial motive, etc. And even after the 6 persons arrested in the case turned out to have links with the Sanatan Sanstha, which has its headquarters in Goa, the founder and chief of this organization, Jayant Athavale, was never brought in for questioning. I also spoke with Dr. Ganesh Devi, a linguist, writer and rationalist ally, who was one of more than 40 writers and artists to return their Sahitya Akademi and Padma Shri awards in 2015. This was in protest against growing intolerance and threat to freedom of speech, following the killing of M.M. Kalburgi. And how did the government respond? The government responded by setting up a parliamentary committee whose recommendation was to make future awardees sign an undertaking that they will not, in future, return their awards. This completely misses the point of academics, artists, and writers being the conscience of a society. Instead, the whole episode was dismissed as a political stunt. Finally, why were these 4 rationalists targeted? From what I was able to learn from my conversations, they were targeted because they were perceived as anti-Hindu and as posing a serious threat to the Hindutva ideology. Rationalists who have Hindu-sounding names tend to be seen as Hindus even if they declare themselves to be atheists. The Hindu fanatic then feels a sense of betrayal. But you are one of us, then why are you criticizing? They cannot easily dismiss them as Islamists or colonial powers or something like that. Initially, rationalists engaging in superstition eradication were seen as harmless. Oh, they are just doing some magic tricks to entertain the public. But over time, it became clear that there is an ideology behind these debunking activities. And this ideology is opposed to blind faith, superstition, and pseudoscience. And because of their mass appeal, people like Narendra Dabholkar were succeeding in their goal of making lots of people think and ask questions. So, they had to be stopped. Okay, Moving on to a slightly more cheerful topic. Some of us have made a very long journey to get here. Like I had to travel from Mumbai to attend this event. I'm speaking metaphorically, of course. I wanted to share the stories of two remarkable individuals who came around to humanism starting from diametrically opposite positions. Dan Barker was an evangelical preacher and pastor for 19 years before leaving Christianity. He then joined the Freedom from Religion Foundation, FFRF, where he has served as co-president since 1985. Dan has been one of the most prominent atheists in the United States since his appearance on a talk show hosted by Oprah Winfrey in 1984. He has written many books, and in fact, the title of this slide, Losing Faith in Faith, is one of his well-known books. Another one, which I really enjoyed reading, is this one, Godless: How an Evangelical Preacher Became One of America's Leading Atheists. It's an autobiographical account of his journey, but it's also packed with lots of well thought out arguments in favor of atheism. Let's check out this fun quote from Dan Barker. The very concept of sin, he's referring to original sin, comes from the Bible. Christianity offers to solve a problem of its own making. Would you be thankful to a person who cut you with a knife in order to sell you a bandage? I met Dan at the international conference organized by the Atheist Center at Vijayawada last year. Later, I got a chance to interview Dan and I asked him, what induced you to give up the religious life after investing so many years in it? And he said that after a point, Christianity simply did not make logical sense. The Bible is riddled with contradictions. Also, he describes in his book how he felt intellectually starved. Anyone would, right, reading the one book that's supposed to contain all the answers. I should probably mention here that Dan Barker is a member of the Prometheus Society, which means that he has an IQ in the 99.997th percentile. Moving on, Manoj Malik served as an RSS Karyakarta, that is RSS worker, for 25 years. But today he leads the Chandigarh Humanist Association. I had the privilege of interviewing Manoj Malik late last year. The interview is conducted in Hindi but fully subtitled in English as well. Manojji's transformation is documented in his book Hindutva to Humanism, which is translated from the original Hindi book, which you can order this book on Flipkart or Amazon. It provides an excellent insider perspective on the workings of the RSS, which, as we all know, has one of the largest and most efficiently run networks of centers or shakhas across India. And the amazing thing is that except for the RSS Pracharak, who are full-time employees, but relatively few in number, the vast majority of the other members are all Swayam Sevak, meaning volunteers who devote all their free time to run the activities at their shakha. These days, Manoj Malik is busy turning the tables on the RSS. He uses their own methods and the organizational skills which he developed during his time in the RSS to run weekend humanist camps for children and young adults. The RSS has been using a catch them young strategy to indoctrinate people into Hindutva. The way it works is, the initial period is spent making the kids play kabaddi, stick fighting and other fun activities, but then slowly, over time, the divisive Hindutva ideology is injected. Humanist camps are a way to counter the RSS and the broader Sangh Parivar by inculcating a secular and scientific mindset. But Manoj is clear that this is a long-term project and we cannot expect instant results. After all, the RSS has been around for almost 100 years, and now we are starting to see the unfortunate results. Rationalists like Dan Barker and Manoj Malik are particularly effective in countering religious apologists. If a Christian theologian were to ask Dan Barker, "Have you read the Bible, sir?" he can say, as a matter of fact, I have. Where do you think I wrote all my sermons from? In fact, Dan claims to hold the world record for the most number of formal atheist debates. As of last year, more than 140. Similarly, if someone were to ask Manoj Malik, "Are you aware of the great social work, the great social service that RSS is doing across India?" he can say, "Yes, I spent 25 years in the RSS and in the end I chose to become a humanist." Another thing I learned is that if you are an evangelical preacher like Dan or an RSS Karyakarta like Manojji, you don't just wake up one fine morning and realize, "Oh, there is no God. It's all lies. I have wasted my life." No, it doesn't happen like that. All these people took at least a couple of years debating with themselves, dealing with an inner conflict, trying to reconcile with their faith. But finally, when it was no longer possible to continue living a lie, they had to come out to their family, friends, and colleagues. There are many other equally fascinating individuals I've had the pleasure of interviewing. Babu Gogineni and G. Samaram from Andhra Pradesh. Some, like Arif Hussain and Dr. K.M. Srikumar, are esSENSE members. But this is all we have time for today. I hope this was interesting. I'd like to conclude by making a special mention of an institution that I feel every Indian rationalist should visit at least once. The Atheist Center at Vijayawada was established in 1947, the year of India's independence, by Gora and Saraswati Gora. The Atheist Center is now run by the third generation of Gora family members. This is Vikas Gora, the organizer of the conference last year. And this is a snap taken on the last day of the workshop. You can see that many states of India, rationalists from many states of India are represented. If you attend one of their conferences, you are sure to meet rationalists from all over India and other countries. I would highly recommend it. That's all from me. Thank you for listening.